This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Welcome everyone to a special edition of All Parsha and Parshas Mishpatim, the Ben Ashri, the Tzaddik of Ranana, Rabbi Yitzchak HaKohen Huberman. On Parshas Mishpatim, the Tzaddik Ranana writes in the introduction to the Sefer that he has committed himself to pray bli neder daily for those who learn his Sefer and say over his Divrei Torah in his name to others that they should be saved from all tzara ba'olam hazeh u'ba'olam haba. So let us proceed. I would like to share with you 7 beautiful gems of the Ben Ashri on Parshas Mishpatim. Rashi brings Be'ela ha-mishpatim asher tasim lifneihem v'loy lifnei goyim. One can only visit and patronize a Jewish court. And even if you know that the Gentile judges the case exactly as the Jew does, you cannot go to their courts. The question is, why? Why can't you go to their courts? If they're going to be judging the same way and the outcome will be the same, then why would you not be able to go to their courts? Now Rashi adds, this gives prestige to their God. How does it give prestige to their God? Judgment is not a religious activity, it's an activity of the intellect. So of what difference does it make? My nafka mina, how does it accord any prestige to the Gentile God? This is not a matter of dasi, this is a matter of sichli, this is not religious, this is intellectual. Why don't we use the principle, kabel ha'emes mimishahu, accept the truth from whoever says it. Now let's combine this with what the Ben Ashri brings in his second piece, that Rashi says whenever it says Elah, it is disqualifying what it said earlier. Ve'ela is a continuation of what it said earlier. Just like the earlier statements were Misinai, so too are these Mishpatim Misinai. And the question the Ben Ashri deals with is, why would I think these Mishpatim are not Misinai? Where else do they come from? And the Ben Ashri says that because dinim are sichliim, because they are logical and they are reasonable, one would have thought that these are judgments that were conventional wisdom of the time, that maybe Moshe Rabbeinu, together with his Supreme Court, came up with. And the point here is, no, these Mishpatim are not reasonable. These are not logical rules that Moshe came up with through his own seichel. Instead, these are godly dictates. Now, there is an idea, says the Ben Ashri, that you could say simply, the reason we can't go to the Gentile courts is back in the day, the judge was a clergyman, he was a priest, and it took place in the church or in the house of Avodah Zarah, and he had all kinds of icons and religious symbols, and this gave prestige to the Avodah Zarah. However, this is not the true reason. The Pasuk says in Divrei Hayamim, Hashem promises the Dayan, V'imachem b'dvar hamishpat, I will be with you, Elohim nitzav ba'adas el. The God stands in the congregation of the Almighty, meaning Rebbeinu Shalom participates in the court case. And there is a concept that the judges have a siyata d'shmaya, have a heavenly assistance, that the Rebbeinu Shalom participates and is a active member of the decision and divinely orchestrates the decision of the court. Elokim shoifet ze yashpil v'ze yorim. As the Ben Ashri quotes Rav Naftali Katz, that we see that in order to judge properly, you need an element of divine inspiration. So to go to the Gentile court, as if to say that you're accepting that they are also orchestrated and divinely inspired by their God, is exactly the issue of lifneihem v'lo lifnei oivdei kaychavim, because it is an Eloi Yerasam. Judgment is in fact not a Dvar Sichli alone, is not merely an intellectual decision, but this is something which is divinely orchestrated and assisted. We now go to the third offering of the Ben Ashri. Sheish shanim ya'avoid uvashviyis yetzei lachavshi chinam. Now, says the Ben Ashri a remez. 6 words, shanim, you need to repeat. Meaning, you're going to say 6 words twice. First, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, and then Baruch Shem Kavod Machosai Li'olam Va'ed. Sheish Shanim. Repeat 6 twice. If you reach the madrega of recognizing and understanding Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad and Baruch Shem Kavod Machosai Uvashviyas, you will be given the 7th word, which is V'ahavta, love of God as a gift. Sheish Shanim Ta'avoid. 6 words you should repeat and work on yourself to makabel the Omach Shamayim, and then Uvashaviyas, the 7th word, V'ahavta, the love of God will be given as a gift, as the pasuk says, Avoidas matana atein eskehunascha. Now, watch this one. Offering number 4. Says the Ben La'ashri, V'im amar yoimar ha'eved. If the servant says, the Rashi Tevos and Soifei Tevos, the first letter and last letter of these 4 words, the Im Amar Yoimar Ha'eved, is 466. Gematria Chaf Beis, 22, referring to the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. Amalek Raid. Through the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, Amalek descends. Or Mar Raid. The bitterness descends. The meaning is, the Gemara says in Masechta Shabbos, Lamed Amud Beis, that a Talmud, when he learns, his lips should be dripping bitterness. Meaning, one should learn with great intensity, great focus, great richus hamachshava, until one is almost dripping bitterness. And as we know, the Torah is the antidote to Amalek. Kol Yaakov hayadayim yidei Esav, that through the learning of Torah, Chaf Beis, the 22 letters, Amalek raid, he goes down, he descends, or Mar raid, through bitterness, Amalek descends. So this is a concept of Amar Yoimar Ha'eved. If the servant, that's us, if we say through the words of Torah, we're able to eradicate Amalek. Number 5, the Im Acheras Yikachlai. Im Acheras Yikachlai, the Orach Chaim HaKadosh says this is going on the Torah. The Im Acheras Yikachlai, if you take something other than the Torah, the Rashi Tevos and Soifei Tevos of these words, the Im Acheres Yikachloi, is Kli Choimas, a vessel of a wall. The Torah HaKadosha is the guard, is the wall that protects us from the Yetzer Hara. But Im Acheres Yikachloi, if you're going to take something else other than the Torah, then your wall, your Kli Choimas, is going to be lost. If you leave the Torah and you take other pursuits, you're going to be left without a Kli Choimas. However, the Torah says that nevertheless, the Torah requests of you, even if you do take other pursuits other than the Torah, She'irak susa va'inasa lo yigra. These words, with the word itself, is gematria at the very least. Sheyisa v'yitain be'emuna v'yase halimad kikavua. You should deal in business honestly and do make your learning established and set. Im acheres yikachlai, if you're going to take something other than the Torah, then in a way you're losing your fortress, your protection, but at the very least, she'irak susav aynasa lo yigra, with the words themselves, the numerical value of these words are sheyisa v'yitain be'amuna v'yasa halimad kikavua. Let us move on to the penultimate offering for today. V'chiyake ish es avdai. If a man will smite his servant, oyes amasai, or his maidservant, b'shevet, with a staff, umeis tachas yadai, and the servant will die under your control. Nakam yinakim, revenge will be taken. Achem yoymo yomayim ya'amod, but if he stands up for a day or two, lo yukam, revenge will not be taken. Ki chas b'hu, he is your money. Says the Ben La'ashri, this pasuk could be interpreted b'derech musar. You know what this pasuk is referring to? It's referring to those people who rush through their tefillah. They have to run through their tefillah, like we know. Many people come to shul. Sometimes, even the allotment of time in the shul, it's not enough to say all the words of Psukei de Zimra or Berchas Kriya Shema. And people run through the davening. This is what it means. V'chiyake ishes avdai. If a man will have to hit his eved, what's the eved? Ezehu avoida shehi belev. What is the avoida of our heart? What is the avoida, the eved? That's tefillah. Somebody who treats tefillah like a burden and runs through it to try to get it off his chest, to get it off his back. And now he's missing words, or even swallowing words. He's hitting his tefillah. V'chiyake ish es avdoi. A person is smiting, hitting his tefillah, his avoida. Now he's making his avoida a balmum. Or he's killing it completely. Because we know that when it comes to the first pasuk of Shema, if somebody doesn't have kavana, or mispronounces the words, you're not yotzei Shema. Or if somebody doesn't have kavana for the first bracha of Shemona Esrei, he's not yotzei, unless he says it properly. So, if he doesn't say it properly, he's smiting or killing the tefillah. Or oyes amosai, or his maidservant. But amosai could be read his truth, his emes. What is emes? Emes kenei al timkar. Emes is Torah. And the reason you're mevatel it, b'shevet, Targum translates b'shevet, b'shultan, even though you rule over yourself. You're your own boss. It's your own business. Nobody's telling you what time to come into work or what time to go home. And you're losing out on your davening and your learning. You're davening so quickly, your learning is so haphazard, even though it's tachas shiftoi. It's under your own control, under your own domain. It's tachas yadoi. You're shoyled al atzmai. It's b'shevet. Nevertheless, umeis. And now the person dies. What does that mean he dies? Because he's not davening and learning properly, he loses his state in life, his status. Now he doesn't have his own business. Now he's working for someone else. Now he has a boss. And now certainly he's not able to daven properly. Now certainly he's not able to learn properly. Then, not only will he be punished for not davening properly when he was his own boss, now he's going to be accountable for not davening and learning properly when he has a different boss, because he put himself in that circumstance. So you would think it's doom and gloom. The person has no way out. Achim Yoim, but if that special day of the year, namely Yom Kippur, Oyoimayim, or the 2 days of the year, Rosh Hashanah, Yamoid, a person changes his course. And he gets up and he does tshuva, and he begins to daven properly, and he begins to learn properly. Lo ye'anesh, he will not be punished, God will be moichel him. Ki chasbayhu, because he did it for parnasa. Hashem understands. Even though he was in his own control, he was in his own rishos, oyev kesef, lo yizbar kesef, and Hashem will accept his tshuva of Yoim, Oyoimayim, Yom Kippur, and Rosh Hashanah. And then finally, the Ben Ashri says a slightly different approach. Amida is ein amida ela tefillah. Ach im Yoim, Oyoimayim yamoid. If a person, even though he didn't come the whole year to daven in shul, we know people like that. They show up once or twice a year. Ach im Yoim. If on Yom Kippur, the day, like the Eliyahu Rabbah says, Yomim Yutzaru v'lo bahem, on that special day, this man comes to shul Oyoimayim, or he comes to shul on Rosh Hashanah. Yamoid, and he prays. Hashem is moichel him. Hashem doesn't allow the accuser to prosecute him. Ki chasbayhu. Why does that mean ki chasbayhu? That's his teshuka, that's his desire. That's, Hashem sees that his inner desire is in fact to return to him. Or you could say, Ki chasbayhu is Gematria 208 Yitzchak. Through the bracha of Yitzchak, Hashem accepts this person. What was the bracha of Yitzchak? Yitzchak says, Vayarach esreach begadav. When Yaakov came in and he smelled the scent of his garment, and Chazal say, Al tikri begadav ela boigdav. Yitzchak sensed that even a traitorous Jew, the Gemara says, like Yosi Meshisa, who plundered the temple, but ultimately did not want to go in one more time and plunder the last kli. So Yitzchak Avinu recognized and saw that even a Jew who sinks to such a low level, he too can do tshuva in the end. From that bracha of Yitzchak, Yitzchak, so to speak, injected the possibility of a Jew on the lowest madrega to retain his pintala yid, his essential state of being a Jew, and therefore achim yoim o yoimayim, even someone who didn't come to shul the whole year, but he comes yoim on a Yom Kippur or yoimayim or on Rosh Hashanah, Yamoid, he davens, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Lo yukam, revenge will not be taken, ki chaspayu, his true desire, even as perhaps not the most observant Jew, but his true inner desire is to serve Hashem, and Hashem will recognize that tshuva and embrace that tshuva and elevate this Jew to the status of a true and genuine Baal Tshuva. 7 offerings of the Ben La'ashri on Parshas Mishpatim, wishing everyone an amazing rest of the week and a wonderful Shabbos, Rosh Chodesh Adar, Haba Aleinu L'Tova.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.